Hi, welcome back. Let's get right to it. Recently, I was listening to an excellent podcast from Martin Armstrong, and those of you that have been following me for any length of time know that Martin Armstrong is one of my key sources for accurate news that's not total propaganda or clickbait. Anyway, I believe this interview took place in Croatia, and the questions were fairly straightforward, good questions, but what I'd like you and what I'm asking you to pay close attention to is more along the lines of Martin Armstrong's answers. And you tell me if anybody else is using these sensible facts to explain exactly what is going on. To me, it seems so many websites out there are nothing but a bunch of clickbait, and they're on one side and the next day it changes, they're on the next side. Just stay tuned in. Just stay tuned in, and we'll tell you something new today. And that's the way it seems to go for so many of the websites. But anyway, they touch on several subjects, and everything from the economic situation and the conditions around the world to the propaganda about how Russia wants to invade all of Europe and take over. Listen, folks, Russia is one of the most sparsely populated countries in the world. It's huge, and it is anything but overpopulated. Russia never wanted to get involved with this in Ukraine, and they certainly have no desire to take over Europe. In fact, it's the other way around because of Russia's natural resources. That's the reason why this whole thing got started, both Ukraine and now that United States is pulling out of this with Ukraine because they see how senseless it is and it can't be won. Europe is stepping in, which is even a bigger joke. Their militaries are completely depleted. Listen into this and you're going to find out, and we'll post one or two of the magazine covers on there, how they're starting to make military training mandatory for their males of the age. How in grade school, yes, I'm not misstating it, in grade school they're teaching children how to use weapons, how to use guns now, and how to service and take them apart. So Martin kind of tries to add a bit of humor into it, saying, what, a bunch of 10-year-olds are going to invade Russia now? It's absolutely ridiculous how the people have been listening to this propaganda. Another great example, but off topic a little bit, is a couple of days ago the World Health Organization, WHO, is now endorsing Ivermectin as a cure for COVID-19. Can you believe it? Like, we got shadow banned over this and lost a lot of subscribers, went from videos, 150,000 views per video, to a few hundred views, because YouTube shadow banned us for saying the exact same thing because you don't hear anything about it anymore, about COVID. So now the World Health Organization is promoting ivermectin as a cure. Like I've always said, people didn't die of COVID, they died with COVID. And we'll move on from that, but it's the same thing again, whether it's COVID or whether it's war, they use the same fear factor. Take you out of common sense and move you into a fight or flight type of atmosphere, a 2-part mammalian brain instead of a 3-part human brain. You're going to find many things. They're shifting the narrative to this war. Martin goes on to, and he's been talking about this for many months now, about how Socrates, his computer software, has been stating there can be a false flag attack, because that's what they're trying so desperately to do, is to get Russia to do any kind of attack on a NATO country so they can claim Putin's the aggressor. The only one out of everyone that's been wanting peace, and they're going to paint him as the aggressor. Every war we know of, the mentors have followed them explicitly since ancient times, has been started under false pretenses, has been started by propaganda and by using false narratives. You just need to start waking up, people. Again, I'm reminding people, particularly in Europe, with the CBCDs coming out over the next fall, as early as next fall, once a few shots are fired over the bow in this so-called war against Russia, You're not moving any of that money out of your country, and they've made it blatantly obvious, even on their own political videos, that they're pretty much going to dictate what you're going to use, or be allowed to use, excuse me, your CBCDs, that your paper money's gone, the euro's gone, into a digital type atmosphere, no more paper money. They're going to pretty much dictate what you're able to buy with it and how you're able to use it. Good luck on getting out and getting any of your savings out of that country to a better, safer location. But again, people, many of you who know me and gotten to know me a little bit on a personal basis, whether it's through one of our tours or we helped you to relocate your family into a much better environment and lifestyle, whatever the case may be, it doesn't take long for a person to understand that I do an awful lot of research and I do an awful lot of reading. As a matter of fact, 6 nights a week. I've been doing that for well over 3 decades. I've read a lot of books. I've yet to read one that says your freedoms are free. But I've read thousands that state you have to fight for your freedom. When people are going to wake up to that, I do not know. I don't know if they ever will. Maybe it's just time that humanity needs a great change, and out with the old, in with the new. I have no concept anymore, because things just do not make sense anymore. When they don't make sense, we're headed down a slippery slope. For example, they're talking about stagflation over inflation. Well, inflation is when prices are rising and you have a stable economy, even a growing economy. Stagflation is what we're heading into, strong. We're already there, in my opinion. And that's where you're going to find the economy is stagnant, thus the name stagflation. And you're going to find out prices are still rising. That's a bad combination. Anyway, they're shifting the narrative over to war. They're getting away from other so-called past narratives that have kind of done their job, but they're no longer, I guess they're no longer necessary. I mean, COVID was designed to break people apart, break families apart. It's done a great job on that. I'll give them that much credit. Anyway, it's time to start thinking practical. It's way past that time. But those of you in these certain countries that are going to be involved with this mess, you better consider reallocating some of your portfolio, and better yet, yourselves and your children, because I can guarantee you, they're bringing you to war, and they're bringing you to war very quickly, because the system is failed. It cannot be prolonged in its current state of affairs. There's nothing left for corruption to take hold of. And all through history, when those factors are in place, what do they always end up doing? They take you to war. Again, the average person does not want war in any part of the world. I don't care where you come from. Because a well-thought person knows they have nothing to gain by war. The best they could ever hope for is to come back in one piece if they're involved in it. Anyway, food for thought. It's a wonderful interview amongst many. ArmstrongEconomics.com. Pay close attention to his answers and tell me if anybody else is coming of it from that angle. It's just accurate news. That's all there is to it. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon.